Here's my understanding of the history of DC theater. Zelda Fitchlander came in with her peers and started the regional theater. And in doing so, they wanted to directly address the inaccessibility of Broadway. They wanted theater to become accessible everywhere, not just in one city and one state. And so she started Arena Stage, and her contemporaries started other regional theaters around the country. And then she also understood that outreach was key, so she did the Living Stage. And I worked with a woman who was homeless, who had a lot of pride. I didn't know she was homeless until we saw, all the clothes wrinkled in her trunk. And she would say, "I've studied at Arena Stage," and that was because she was an at-risk youth and she was in that programming, and it saved her life. And so I wanted to tie that into what I've been experiencing in the so far later years of Venus Theater, which is we were still launching programming so that we could work with other nonprofits, at-risk youth in particular, and women at risk, because that's my understanding of the power of theater and the humanities. Except recently, right, I realized there wasn't a lot of dialogue going on because of the rise of online platforms. People were monologuing into their own phones in front of other people. And so when I went to teach students, there wasn't what had been there before, which was a base level understanding of a conversation, and theater being sort of an extension of a conversation, an elevated form of conversation, of dialogue. Monologuing is also a form of theater, and so I tried to tap into that. But when it comes to outreach, there's only so much you can do until you need to dialogue. So I was thinking about this, I was experiencing this, and Valerie, who was a councilwoman here in Laurel, when I was producing, shared a story with me, and she said, "Deb, sometimes these homeless people," she was a heavy advocate to helping the homeless. She would feed them, she would cook food for them, she would pay for hotel rooms for them. And she said she'd helped people get off of drugs, get out of their addiction, help them find the resources. And what she shared with me in that moment was, as soon as they got sober, they looked around and found there was nothing for them. And quite often they relapsed. And that may be an oversimplification of things, but it rang true for me. And so with the gentrification of the art of theater, which is what has happened with this umbrella movement of taking all the small theaters and putting them under bigger umbrellas, we've lost our identity, we've been infantilized, they've taken our value, they've taken our artistry, they've taken our numbers to use for their own gain, and they've erased us. That's what's happened. And I've been talking about this the whole time while it's been happening, and I'm talking about it again now. Because theater can happen anywhere and it can be a dialogue, it's not going to die. We're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep finding ways through. But I really wish and hope that the advocates understand the history. Because when I was in community college, I was so moved by the work at Arena. And by the way, we had to go see plays at professional regional theater companies. That was part of it, So we could pay $10 or $20 as a student to go see a play at Arena Stage, and that changed my life. I saw Night Mother there, and I couldn't move after that gunshot at the end, and I didn't know what to think about it. I didn't even know if I liked it or not, but I had to write a review about it, and then I had to get graded. That review was graded, and when I was at Arena Stage, I saw The Tempest in the round. And I had never seen such effective trapdoors in my life. Like, someone flying up through 2 tiles in the floor, putting on a cape and landing, or characters striding along and just grabbing, their walking stick mid-stride because it flew up through a 1/2-inch hole in the floor. And it changed everything for me. So that when I was the president of my drama club at PGCC, we decided to relaunch the experimental theater program, and we pulled the audience on stage with us. One show was called Bag Lady, and I put the programs in a brown paper bag and balled it up and had the ushers throw it at people when they came in. We got to try things. And because we understood that we were the novices, we were the students, and we were learning from the teachers, and they had a lot to teach us. And when you lose dialogue, sadly, you lose that dynamic. And then now it's become all about product and how can we get it to Broadway, which was exactly what Zelda Fischlander didn't want to do. So I think we're having an identity crisis right now, especially in Washington, D.C. theater. And I think we need to look at ourselves and we need to make sure we understand the history. We understand the shoulders on which we stand before we dare speak as any sort of expert. I'm asking you, learn your history, please, and respect it, and respect the people who built the city, who built the arts in the city. That's who I'm always looking to. So I'm not sure why all that fell apart. I'm not sure why all the outreach went away. I'm not sure why they canceled the Helen Hayes Legacy Project, which had us going into DCPS every week, several times a week, bringing theater to students, taking them out to the theater, out to houses that did theater. It's an adventure, and I would tell them, I know you're in a uniform, but make sure your uniform's extra clean when you come to the theater, because this is my church, this is my altar. Please respect it for me. And I would tell them, while I'm your instructor here, you are my actors and your body is your instrument, and I want to encourage you to think about what you're eating, because that's fuel for your instrument. Think about what you're putting into your body. Think about how much sleep you're getting. And there were times, one school in Capitol Hill, a teacher sat me down and said, why is so-and-so coming to your workshops, but he won't come make up a math test so that he can graduate out of the 4th grade? To which I said, I don't know. I just see him as a creative person. I don't know his whole history. So there was an advantage to that. There was an advantage to the exposure, and now it's not there. And instead, there's this electronic communication that's got students depressed because they're not really in community. So this is a really big problem. And I'm going to make this video shareable because these are important things to say. And this is my FusterCluck. I want to bring some light into the world every day. And the light is we can express, we can connect, we can communicate, we can create theater whenever the hell we want to. No one can stop us. The buildings are not the thing. That's what they told me at the National Museum of Women in the Arts when I went to see the 5 female playwrights of Washington, D.C. in 1999. And I said, should I make this a nonprofit? And they said, theaters are not made of bricks and mortar. Theaters are made of people. So please respect the people.